I just had a driver coaching session and it was one of the most fascinating things I've ever done. And in this video, my coach is going to reveal all the good, the work-ons and the bad habits that I have with my driver technique in ACC. And I am confident that it will also help you at home as well. You see, this here is Nicholas, and Nicholas is part of the small yet excellent team behind the likes of ACC TV and ACC Drive. And he reached out to me in my very first week on YouTube, wanting to help me out with a whole range of things. But the first thing he offered to me was to look at my driving. Now Nicholas comes highly credentialed, having had his own coaching community and spending hundreds of hours with various people, both coaching the sim and in real life, taking some drivers from rookie class all the way through to SRO esports level. So after a few weeks, I've sent in some footage and he's picked it apart to show what I could be improving on. Again, I'm confident this will help you at home, and if this brings up any further questions, then please make sure you put them in the comments, because I'll be getting Nicholas himself to be having a look at some of those as well. And let's jump straight in with the first lessons.
So a lot of the viewers have already noticed that for your level of experience, you're driving really well. You're getting some really good lap times already. So what's the secret? What's Bradley's secret here? One area where you're doing exceptionally well is controlling the steering. Okay. So a lot of times on slippery sections, say, let's talk a little bit about this, I believe turn 4 here.
Turn 5, 6 in Mazzano here. This is a really tricky corner.
It is, and a lot of drivers are going to be backing off quite a lot. So let's slow it down a little bit and look at your inputs here. I want you to pay close attention. First run to the throttle, and then on the second iteration we're going to look at the steering a little bit more. So at some point here already, you're at full throttle and you're really keeping it pinned all the way through, despite really being on edge. So let's have a quick look at the steering this time around and see what's happening. What I'm talking about are those small corrections, which are really well developed already. You're really listening to what the car tells you through the force feedback. And what ends up happening is, despite the car kind of moving away, you have a small correction there, and a very quick one. So you're quite active at the wheel, which is also helping you in other instances where in some of the videos that I saw, for example, up at Spa, you had a huge moment, but you managed to correct things quite quickly. So whenever you're at the limit, you're already performing quite well because you're able to react to what the car is telling you, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's a great thing, and I want you to keep that up.
Okay, perfect.
Another area where you're really excelling at, which technically at this point of your driving isn't as necessary yet, is the brake feel. Okay. Now, what does the brake feel mean? Basically, a lot of times during a braking zone, you're not going to be at 100%, but eventually when the steering comes on, you're going to have to reduce your brake input, right? Okay. So looking at the footage here, we're coming down second into first gear likely, and we're starting to turn in, and we're really having a smooth transition down there. So this is a bit more advanced and not really necessary to get close to those lap times, but that's definitely going to help us later, even if it has to be still a little bit refined.
Yeah, okay.
So there are the couple of things that Nicholas thinks I'm doing well in my driving. And we talked a bit off camera about this, because in the last few weeks, I've been trying to work on these areas a little bit. See, I was struggling with the franticness of the inputs at the steering wheel when chasing tire grip, translating those into inputs at the pedals. The work on for the last few weeks has been keeping smooth on throttle and brake inputs while chasing the grip with inputs at the steering wheel. Now we go into this a little bit deeper in fact, where he actually explains, in a way, the different phases of braking, turning, and accelerating out of a corner. And I actually found it to be a huge unlock in terms of how I think about these things that I've been trying to work on. I'm going to do a completely separate video about it because I think if I can explain it well, it'll be a major unlock for you at home also. But what can I be improving? Well, Nicholas thinks there's almost a whole second to find in this lap by changing these next couple of things. So let's dive into those right now.
Now, we do have some other areas where we're definitely going to find half a second a lap easily, if not maybe a full second, depending on how well we can practice this. Let's take another look at the turn we just watched. Now, I want you to pay attention to where the car is positioned during the entry phase as well as the apex. So we could say that we were using a lot of the track. We were coming in from a wider angle and we did manage to hit the apex. Now, what I would like you to compare this against, so this is right around a breaking point, is the maximum of what we could be doing. So right around here, what we're seeing is the right side, the right tires are just barely off the track.
Okay.
It's in perfect condition, so we could use however much track we wanted. So while the car actually is around here, in a perfect world, the car would pretty much be entirely off track.
Okay.
On the entry. Now we're going to see very similar things in a lot of different turns. So this is what I like to do with coaching, giving you more generalized tips instead of just for one particular corner you could be going wider. This is actually more of a systematic thing, you could say. But let's just keep this area in mind and look at further parts of the corner here. So we're coming in nicely, maybe a little bit too early, but that's all right.
Okay.
We're kind of clipping the apex here, which is good. Now again on exit, this is the second area I want to focus on. We're kind of running out wide. And this is also something where we already are doing well, right? If we're looking at the ELO where we are at, we're doing quite well. However, if we want to really open up our skill ceiling, we want to go further, go to the next step, there's still plenty of room. We could put basically the left side of the left tire could just have to be on the very edge of the track here. And that would still be valid. Which means, in turn, we can find time on the entry because the wider the turn is, the more speed we can carry in. And on the exit as well, the earlier we can accelerate because we're no longer limited as much by the track.
At this point, the session led into a practical exercise for me. And to explain it, the idea was to drive around the circuit at a relatively slow speed and basically hunt out the most extreme parts of the track. Whether it be the edge of the curb, a white line, the edge of the grass, and try and place the car where I thought was the most extreme part of the track and to get as close to those lines as possible. But it's definitely going to be a continued work on for me and something that I'll need to do ongoing to really find it. As you'll see here, there's a lot more track left for me to find.
All right, let's have a look at this. So this is key. You were thinking, okay, I'm always at the limit here. And this was for a couple of laps. So what I wanted you to do is align yourself with the outside edge. And this is important, right? This distance is key because this distance, let's try a different color here. This distance is where your mind still has to shift that the car is less wide than you think it is.
Yeah.
So sometimes doing really conscious practice can help improve where you feel otherwise you're always racing on the very limit. This increases your skill ceiling, you could say, the maximum potential you could get up to.
Yeah,
so just
true.
occasionally doing it. You don't have to do it every day as a warm-up. It's just eventually you have that mental connection between what your screen looks like versus how wide the car is. Of course, this can change a little bit car by car, but almost all of the cars are almost the same width. They're fairly identical.
And lastly, Nicholas picked up one piece of hardware advice for me that I think will probably help you at home as well.
All right, a quick next topic I wanted to talk about is actually something hardware related, and I believe people pointed it out to you before, And maybe you already know what I'm talking about. It's about your brake settings. Let's take a quick look at this example here. I saw this a lot in races before and a bit less in the races I see now. So this is especially if you're under pressure or driving closely to other cars, but also a general thing. And that is this little bit right here. Let me just quickly put a marker on here. You are currently trailing your brake just a couple percent before a lot of the turns, especially if cars are in front of or behind you for half a second. So if there's cars close by, chances are you're going to be dragging the brake into the braking zone before you actually begin with it. And that's something I noticed and something that's easily fixable within the pedal settings. So if you at home are also experiencing something like this, well, you might not know about it because you're not looking at a replay. Yeah. So maybe take a quick peek at some telemetry, see if something is happening there. So you might need a bit of a dead zone. So right on here, you're trailing this for a quick while. And now you're getting on the actual brakes, and that's fairly quick. That's all right. But this initial bit, that's really costing you sometimes. So let me scroll ahead. Next braking zone. Chances are we're going to be seeing something similar for a lot of the laps, especially if cars are in front or behind you. So there you see. It's quite a way before your actual braking zone. So down there. So your braking zone is back there, right? Maybe a bit earlier because there's cars around, but already, so let's get the reverse out of the way. Already here. That's like 4 car lengths before that. We're already putting on a tiny bit of brake. And it's not costing you a ton, but it is costing you consistently. And it's just a couple of kilometers every turn. Especially if you have, again, cars around you.
So there we are, the good and the bad of my driving in ACC at this point of my sim racing journey. And I've certainly enjoyed the process of very critically looking into my driving technique and seeing where the improvements can be made. Nicholas then went on to help me make some changes to my brake settings and also show me some ways of identifying where others are improving lap times over myself. And equipped now with those exercises, I'm now well prepared to take my driving up to another level. A huge thank you to Nicholas for not only his time but his expertise as well, also for letting me share all of this with you guys out there. And if you want to book your own coaching session with Nicholas, you can get in touch with him directly through his Discord. All the information for that will be in the links below. And you'll see a lot more of Nicholas on this channel because there's a host of things that he's been helping me with inside ACC, and we're working on some videos to share all of that with you to help you guys out as well. Please drop some comments if you have further questions about driving technique, and we'll get Nicholas to have a look at those as well. And also stay tuned because I have that other video talking about that specific driving concept, which was a huge unlock for me in my driving. Hope you guys found some value in this. Potentially it's answered some of your questions about my driver technique, or it's asked questions of your own. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up if you like this content. Race hard, stay positive. We will see you all again very soon for some more racing videos. Cheers.